Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the final part 2 of my dining room makeover using mostly thrifted items. I actually took a turn and made some changes to the design plan since I last posted a video. So you might be surprised at some of the changes. I hope you love them. I certainly love how the room turned out and I am excited to show you the journey. So let's get right into it. Okay, you're gonna think I'm crazy. I think I'm crazy. After all the time I spent hand painting with a little hand angled paintbrush, all of this wainscoting, something it just isn't sitting well with me. I am not a beige person. Actually, I wear beige pretty much every day, but in my home, I'm not like a plain beige room type of person. So I have just been wrestling with what do I actually want to see in my dining room, and I think I found the perfect inspiration picture. I had been looking all over the internet for some inspiration on color scheme, how can I work the green, black, wood tones, beige all together in a way that doesn't feel busy and a way that feels true to me, works with the rest of the style that's going on in my home, but is also a little bit more traditional. And I found the perfect inspiration picture. I'll put it on the screen. I love the mix of neutrals and greens and the rich warm tones. So I decided I'm actually going to paint the wainscoting. Is it called wainscoting or beadboard? Please correct me. I think it could be either, but I'm sure there is some sort of difference and I really should know, but I just don't remember. But anyway, I'm gonna be painting that a dark mossy olive green, and then I'm either gonna paint the walls beige or keep them white, and then I'm gonna hang my curtains, and I will still be replacing the fabric on the dining chairs. But I can't believe I have to paint this bottom half of the wall again because I have painted it so many times. But I really think that's gonna give me the look that I want and feels true to me. So let's get started on phase 2. This time I was smart and bought a new roller brush. It's a lot easier to paint this wainscoting with a small roller and then going through with a hand brush to get into all of those little grooves. Look how much faster this is. Painting over this beige with the color green feels so much more like me. Green is my favorite color and I've tried to tone it down throughout my house, but it just speaks to me, it calls to me, at least it does more so than the beige. So I know and I have no doubts in my mind that this was the direction I needed to go with painting this dining room. The painting is done and I love the color. This is actually a color that I used upstairs in our home office, so I knew that the color would work really well in our house. It's a little bit more vibrant during the day and when the sun's hitting it, but most of the time when it's dark here in the Pacific Northwest and cloudy, it looks more muted. So I like it regardless of the lighting and what the light does to the color. So I'm gonna remove the tape. I also hung this curtain, this plaid one, kind of sloppily. I ordered it on Amazon and it was supposed to be beige, and it looks a lot more like honey colored in person. So that's a disappointment, but I just wanted to hang it before I try to return them. I thought it was gonna be more of this tone and not quite that dark. Like I thought this would be the darkest tone. So I am gonna have to figure out what I'm doing about the curtain situation. But once I figure that out and what I'm gonna do on the seats, this room will be pretty much complete. I brought this art piece in from our kitchen. It was in our kitchen nook, and the frame and the coloring is perfect for this room. I'm also loving how the black looks with the green as opposed to the beige. So I'm really happy that I repainted the wainscoting and am not doing beige after all. Another step I need to take is just go in with my white wall color and clean up some of these edges, which won't take long. I also think that regarding the seat cushions, I think I'm gonna go with a black and white fabric. I was gonna do something green, but now that the walls are green and not beige, I really don't need a pop of color on the seats. However, I am remaining open to whatever I find that speaks to me. So that's probably gonna be the last step. And yeah, other than that, we need to just hang our new light. Although I'm loving this. I still have this one sitting here in the corner, and I definitely need to paint it out. And I can't remember if I mentioned this in the last video, but I want to replace the shades with, I would love to get some globe shades, because that will just kind of modernize it just a bit so that not everything in this room feels old and vintage. It'll feel just a little bit newer and a little bit more modern. So I'm gonna remove this tape and get going on the rest of the projects. I absolutely love how these curtains look in this room. The pattern and color are perfect. I was just thinking as I was hanging them of a couple tips. One is that I like to opt for blackout curtains because you can do a pattern on the front, but then they're typically lined with this white blackout material. So when your curtains are closed, everything looks nice and uniform from the outside of your home. And then also, my favorite kinds of curtains to buy from like a big box store or Amazon are called rod pocket curtains. And those are the kind that you just stick the rod right through the top seam of the curtain. I don't particularly love the kinds of curtains that have those metal rings. They are super functional because you can slide them open and shut really easily. I just think that the rod pocket curtains are, they look a little more high-end in my opinion, and they usually come with And I'm gonna do my best to show you. So this would be the pocket where you would normally stick the rod, but a lot of times the curtains come with these loops that are on the outside of this pocket, and that gives you the option to do this like really nice pleated look when they're open, and I love that. Another cool thing about rod pocket curtains as opposed to the kinds with metal rings is that you can get those more decorative metal ring clips that you clip to the top of your curtain, and then you can slide them open and closed that way. And I feel like that is also a more high-end look. I'm gonna head to Hobby Lobby to see if they have Rub and Buff. I've never used that product before, but obviously you've seen it like all over social media for years, and I'm excited to use it if they have it. If you remember, I want to use it on my new vintage light fixture, just to give it a little sprucing. And I feel like that gives the most like authentic gold look as opposed to gold spray paint. So especially when you're working with something vintage. So I'm gonna use that there. While I'm there, I wanna look at their fabric. That's not normally a store that I would shop for fabric at, but I know they have a fabric section, and I already went to Joann's and didn't see anything a few weeks ago. I have decided that I do not wanna live with my with the existing fabric that's on the dining chairs. I think last time I shared progress in the dining room, I was saying I would like to just live with the fabric until I find a replacement fabric that I absolutely love. And it's been a month and I'm just sick of looking at that pink fabric in this room. So I decided that even if it's just a placeholder for now, it's worth it to me to have the room looking finished and cohesive. Plus, we are hosting a lot more these days and going into the holidays. I just want that room to like feel finished. So recovering dining chairs is not a big project and it's not overwhelming to me. So I'll show you how I do it when I find fabric. Anyway, all that to say, if I have to replace the fabric in a year or two because I find a fabric that I love more, that's fine with me. I just need my house to feel like not chaotic, and I need it to feel finished. So I might run back to Joann's as well if I can't find any fabric at Hobby Lobby for that same reason, even if I just do like a solid fabric or whatever. So hopefully they have what I need. Let's go shopping. Okay, I ended up getting this fabric at Joann's. It's very similar to the fabric that I saw there a few weeks ago that I said was not the right material. That was like a flannel, and this is more of a canvasy type material. Plus, I think the scale of these flowers is a bit larger, which I love, and it adds more lightness to the overall look as opposed to, I think the last fabric that I saw had more black, and that was not something that I really wanted to commit to because I didn't know how much black I was going to be keeping in this room. So I am gonna start recovering these as soon as I have time, and I think that's gonna be like the last step in this project. And I am honestly just So excited to have this room put together finally. I just completed the first seat and oh my gosh, look how good this looks. It looks so much better. I am so happy with how this is looking. So all you have to do when you are recovering your dining seats is flip the chair upside down and locate where the seat is fastened to the frame. So not sure how good quality this is, but there you can see that there are 4 screws around the seat, and that is all that's holding the seat in place, keeping it attached to the frame. So all you're gonna do is just go in there, unscrew those, and the seat should pop off really easily. So now you're just left with the seat, and all you're gonna do is lay out your fabric, and then you're gonna take the seat and put it upside down on the back side of your fabric. And you just want to make sure that you leave enough of a border of the new fabric that you can wrap around, because all you're gonna do is you're gonna cut this out and then you're gonna wrap this around the seat and you're gonna staple it. If there is existing fabric on your seat, you can take it off, but you also don't need to. I already did some investigative work on the last seat that I did, and this is like original fabric to these seats. There was no other fabric underneath. So the only reason that you might actually want to take that fabric off is, I'll show you, is because you will need to leave yourself access to these holes. These holes are where the screws go in, and that's what's gonna keep your seats attached to the frame, so you really don't wanna lose track of those. And you also don't want like a ton of extra fabric, because that is gonna sit in the way of the frame being as tightly attached to the seat, because you'll only be able to screw it in so far. So what I'll do, like with this corner, I'm gonna leave these since they're nice and flat, but with this one, I am gonna cut off this excess fabric because I want my seats to be as tightly on the frame as possible. I have made the mistake before of not attaching them tightly enough, and the seat comes sliding off when you least expect it, and it's not a good feeling. So that's that. And like I mentioned, you want to make sure you leave yourself access to these holes, because that is where you're gonna put your screws. So all the sides are stapled, and you can see it's nice and taut. You want to make sure that fabric is smooth on the front and there are no like wrinkles or bubbles. The corners are also very simple. It's going to be similar to like wrapping a present, the corners of a present. Again, you need to make sure to leave yourself access to these holes. And the easiest way for me to do that is to make sure, like I'm gonna just cut this fabric around and then fold it up to this side, and just staple it here and leave that hole exposed. That way I can find it easily when I go to reattach the seat to the frame, and so that when I do reattach it, it is the most secure that it can be. So see how I cut this fabric down to leave that hole exposed, and then I'm just folding and tucking this corner up and under. Make sure that your edges are also smooth. You don't want those to get bunchy during the final steps. And then I'm just gonna staple it up like this. One thing worth mentioning is that you might be tempted to take off all the seats on your dining chairs and recover them all at once and then go back and reattach them all at once. I would advise against that, especially if you're using vintage chairs, only because I've noticed with the 2 chairs that I've recovered so far, the holes where the screws go are completely different. They're completely different on each corner, so I would hate for you to like detach all of your cushions and then like not know which frame they go on, because that will make the reattachment process so much more complicated. So I would advise going one by one. If you're using newer chairs, chances are that those holes are pretty even all the way around, no matter how many chairs you have. But if you're doing vintage, I highly advise going one seat at a time.